USS William B. Preston was a Clemson-class destroyer in the United States Navy following World War I. She was named for Naval Secretary and United States Senator William B. Preston. William B. Preston was laid down on 18 November 1918 at the Norfolk Navy Yard, Portsmouth, Virginia. Launched on 9 August 1919, sponsored by Mrs. William Radford Beale, the eldest daughter of William B. Preston, designated DD-344 on 17 July 1920, and commissioned on 23 August 1920. Lieutenant James B. Ryan in temporary command. On 7 September 1920, Commander William Easterbrough reported on board as commanding officer. 1920s. Following commissioning, William B. Preston operated with Destroyer Division 19 and conducted trials and training off the East Coast through the end of 1920. She then proceeded south, to join the fleet in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, for winter maneuvers. After these exercises, she transited the Panama Canal to participate in the fleet's visit to Callao, Peru, and arrived at that port on 21 January 1921. The ship next received orders transferring her to Desdiv 45, Destroyer Squadron 14, and she joined the Asiatic Fleet in mid-1922. With her home port at Cavite, near Manila in the Philippines, the destroyer cruised with her division on exercises and maneuvers. In the summer months, the ships would base out of Shifu on the north coast of Shantung Province, China, while moving southward to Philippine waters for the winter exercises. In between, there were visits to China coastal ports such as Amoy, Foochow, and Swatow, and occasional tours on the Yangtze River between Shanghai and Hankow. Nanking Incident in 1926. Civil strife broke out in China, which can be loosely characterized as a struggle between North and South for control of the country. To the south, the nationalist Kuomintang Party moved north from its base at Canton to extend its controls over warlord-dominated areas. Led by Chiang Kai-shek, the nationalists had reached Nanking by March 1927. William B. Preston arrived in that port on the Yangtze River on 21 March and dropped anchor off the city, joining sister ship Noah. Under orders to evacuate Americans, the destroyers took on 175 refugees, 102 on Noah and 73 on William B. Preston. Gunfire, coming closer to the city, alerted the American destroyermen to the danger posed by the approaching Cantonese. Northern Chinese troops meanwhile melted away from the city that they were supposed to defend, leaving many foreigners endangered in the defenseless city. An armed guard from Noah stood by on shore while signal parties from William B. Preston and Noah transmitted the information about the tense conditions in Nanking to the ships anchored in the muddy river. When the situation had worsened to a point of no return, Noah commenced firing with her 4-inch guns. William B. Preston joined in with her main battery as well and, in the 10-minute barrage, fired 22 rounds of 4-inch projectiles to scare off the invading soldiers. Sailors on both American ships also provided fire with bolt-action Springfield rifles and drum-fed Lewis guns. British cruiser HMS Emerald and destroyer HMS Wolseley added to the din with the guns, and the Chinese, faced by this Anglo-American barrage, withdrew. 4 days later, with the situation much quieter in Nanking, William B. Preston prepared to leave the area in company with refugee-laden SS Kungwo on 25 March. Snipers, firing from concealed positions ashore, sent the destroyer's anchor details scurrying for cover, and ricocheting bullets whined into the pre-dawn darkness. Firing from a Lewis gun on the destroyer soon caused the sniper to cease fire. The ship, with civilians on board, was soon underway heading down downriver. 3 hours later, while proceeding between Silver Island and Xingshan Fort, small arms fire again crackled from the shore, first directed at Fengwo and next at William B. Preston. Bluejackets on the destroyer promptly broke out their Lewis guns and Springfields to reply, but the situation suddenly worsened when a 3-inch gun at the fort opened fire on the ships. One shell splashed into the muddy river ahead of the destroyer, another fell in the ship's wake, and a third passed through the fire control platform. The destroyer's number 1 4-inch gun was quickly trained around and fired 3 salvos in reply, which, in addition to small arms and machine gun fire from the warship, caused the firing from the shore to be silenced. William B. Preston and her charges joined British gunboat Cricket and SS Wenchao 52 miles below Chinkang. Snipers once again harassed the Anglo-American flotilla, but machine gun fire from Cricket soon forced the Chinese to withdraw. After turning Kungwo over to the British gunboat, William B. Preston returned to Nanking unhampered by further sniping. On the 27th of March, with 70 more refugees embarked, the ship cleared Nanking and headed downriver. Lt. CMDR. G.B. Ash, the ship's commanding officer, recalled that the Chinese had emplaced a field piece at a key river bend and, accordingly, ordered general quarters well in advance. Cleared for action with guns trained out and the stars and stripes flying, William B. Preston rounded the bend, ready for a showdown. The Chinese, however, allowed the ship to pass without any firing, receiving the Yangtze Service Medal for these actions against snipers while convoying American nationals out of the troubled areas. William B. Preston returned to routine cruising soon thereafter. She was back in the United States by 1929, home-ported at San Diego, and assigned to the battle force. 1930s. To meet the obligations imposed by the naval treaties of the 1920s and 1930s, William B. Preston was part of a group of destroyers laid up in reserve at Philadelphia. She was decommissioned there on 15 October 1934. As America's Navy grew in the first months following the outbreak of World War II in Europe, the need for auxiliaries to support the fleet multiplied accordingly. On 18 November 1939, William B. Preston was selected for conversion to a small seaplane tender and redesignated AVP-20. Soon thereafter, the ship entered the New York Navy Yard for conversion. William B. Preston was recommissioned on 14 June 1940, with Lt. CMDR. Francis J. Bridget in command. On 2 August 1940, the ship was reclassified again, this time to destroy a seaplane tender, and redesignated DD-7. She departed the New York area 3 days later and arrived at Hampton Roads the following day. On the 11th of August, she headed for the Caribbean and arrived at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, 4 days later. She then steamed to Panama, transited the canal on 24 August, and proceeded on to San Diego, where she arrived on 5 September for an 8-day pause en route to Hawaii. After mooring to a submarine base pier at Pearl Harbor on 19 September, the ship commenced operations with the fleet. She engaged in such tasks as tending scout planes, towing targets during fleet exercises, and making routine offshore patrols through 30 September. She then anchored at Palmyra Island to tend PBY Catalinas through 4 October, when she returned to Pearl Harbor. As patrol plane reinforcements flew over the Pacific, bound for the Asiatic Fleet, William B. Preston served as a plane guard for 3 days in October and then resumed her routine duties out of Pearl Harbor. On 6 December 1940, the seaplane tender set course for the Philippines and her second tour of duty with the Asiatic Fleet. En route, she lay to at Plane Guard Station, George, while VP-26 passed overhead on course for the Philippine Islands. On 13 December, she was fueled from Wright and then lay to in the lee of Wake Island before proceeding on to Guam. She arrived at Apra Harbor on 17 December but soon pressed onward and completed the last leg of her voyage to the Philippines when she anchored in Canasao Bay, off the Cavite Navy Yard, on the 22nd of December 1940. After operating in the Manila area through Christmas 1940, the tender took station at Puerto Princesa Harbor, near the island of Palawan, where she tended PBYs to mid-January 1941. Moving on to Tutu Bay, Jolo, on 15 January, she visited Igati Bay and Caldera Bay, both off Mindanao, before returning to Canasao Bay on 8 February. From February to November 1941, the Asiatic Fleet continued its preparations, while some fleet units, including the majority of the destroyers, were sent south. William B. Preston was maintained in readiness in the Philippines for any eventuality. She tended PBYs and occasionally acted as target tug for fleet maneuvers in the southern islands in the Philippine archipelago. After an overhaul at the Cavite Navy Yard in November, she departed the Manila area on 1 December, bound for the southeastern coast of Mindanao. Upon her arrival in Davao Gulf, the ship dropped anchor in Malalag Bay, where she was joined by a group of PBYs of the newly formed Patrol Wing 10 which soon commenced patrols. The planes reconnoitered several small bays and inlets, looking out for strange ships or for any signs of suspicious activity.